What up, everybody? It's Juggalos with Faygoluvers on the phone today with Slaine, doing a little interview in our segment we call 20 Minutes With. So today it's 20 Minutes with Slaine.
What up, man? It's good.
What up, man? How you doing?
Doing great.
Great. You got an album that came out today, of all days, and that's 16 months after the Boston project. What do you want people to know about this new project? I mean, I know I looked up the track list, and it has, quite a few less features than the last one, but it's quite a long album. What do you want people to know about this one that makes it, so much different than the Boston project?
The Boston project had a lot of features because it was basically a collaborative album. I wanted to work with, a bunch of cats that I came up with in Boston and work with, younger kids that maybe hadn't gotten any light yet. And, some of the OGs. So I worked just across the board. That was basically more so than it was my album. That was Boston Hip Hop's album. The first album, A World With No Skies, was more personal in nature. I mean, all my work is personal to some extent, but, that was kind of my life as it was up until I put that album out. Every artist has their first, complete official studio album, and you want to include so many things in it, and that was that album. This album is kind of basically, it's the full maturation of me as an artist. Like, I really kind of flex some of my experience. I've been in studios for quite a few years now, so, I really kind of used, a whole range of the skills that I've developed over the years to make this record. It's very musical. It's very big sounding, and it's a little more fun than kind of the heavy-handed nature of some of my prior work. Not to say it's not dark. I think I'm dark without even knowing I'm dark. I've read a couple of reviews of this record. It talks about how dark it is. To me, this is light for me.
Right. Right.
So it's kind of weird, man, because you forget that kind of mainstream America sees things a certain way, and I'm so out of tune with what that is that I don't really consider what I do to be that dark, I guess.
Right,
but,
of course.
But to me, it's a very energetic album, and I get to work with a lot of the homies. I got a lot of years in this game now, so I've developed some great friendships over the years with some very talented people, and I was proud to work with all of them on this record, or a lot of them, not all of them, but to work with Tech Nine and Madchild and Vinny Paz and Ill Bill and Bishop Lamont and Apathy, Terminology and Rex, and to work on the production side with DJ Lethal and Static Selector, and kind of my go-to dude who's produced a large majority of my 3 albums, Blue Balls, Louis Bell. He produced, I'd say, 60-70% of this album too. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's a good album, man. I'm very proud of it for sure.
Definitely. I've had a chance to listen to some tracks. I'm actually writing a review on that right now, so hope to have that posted up by this weekend.
That's what's up.
I noticed when I was looking back at your history, you did a lot of 4 movie projects, a lot of them with Ben Affleck, of all people. In 2007, of course, you were in Gone Baby Gone, and that's kind of a big step for any kind of rapper or hip hop artist to kind of jump into the mainstream and movies like that. How did that come about, man? How did he end up getting hold of you, and how did that work into where, now you're in feature films as well?
Yeah, well, it wasn't something that I set out to do. I had started to get a buzz in Boston with my White Man Is the Devil mixtapes. Mm-hmm. And, I clicked up with Coka, and the Boston Herald wrote an article about me, and Ben Affleck happened to be casting his directorial debut at that time, which was Gone Baby Gone. Mm-hmm. So I was in the newspaper, and I actually hadn't, really, I had started to get a buzz, but I hadn't really been making money yet, and I hadn't been able to keep a regular job at the time neither, because I was putting all my efforts into music. So I was kind of squatting in a warehouse with no hot water or electricity. But I was in the newspaper, and I would charge my phone up the street at the after hours or at the bar or at the studio, wherever I happen to be. And so I come back and I bought every newspaper at the gas station up the street, and I was tripping that I was in the paper, and then I passed out, and I woke up at 3 in the afternoon, and I had 66 missed phone calls, and they were from various media outlets. I guess Ben Affleck had put out the APB.
Nice.
So he brought me in, and I did 5 auditions over the course of a month, and I ended up getting the role in that movie, and that was definitely life-changing. Around the same time, La Coka started really materializing and coming together and touring, and my music career started to gain more momentum. So, both things kind of happened simultaneously, even though I had been doing the music for much longer than that. It's just that my career started to materialize right around the time when I shot Gone Baby Gone, and then, it ended up coming out in 2007.
For sure. And you mentioned the Coka Nostra. I know that as a group, you guys performed at the Gathering this year, the first time that you guys performed as a group there. I know you were there in 2012. Being in 2012, it was at Hog Rock. Of course, this year's at a new venue. How was the experience, and how did it differ from the last time you were out there?
Well, I got to tell these guys all about it and everything. I actually performed there 2012 and 2013 solo, so this was my 3rd Gathering. And it was cool, man. I mean, I didn't know what to expect the first year I went in, because, you hear stories and whatever that, people throw shit at you, turn their back to you, and all that shit. So I didn't know what to go in. I just kind of grabbed myself by the balls and ran on stage. But Juggalos showed me mad love, man. And I think there's like a misperception too. I think like a lot of people badmouth Juggalos or talk shit or whatever, and I don't think they understand. Like, I think in my experience anyways, Juggalos have shown me mad love, and it's kids who know what they stand for. It's kids who like underground shit,
for sure,
and who support, the artists that they like, and that's what's up. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I see like certain fans make fun of Juggalos or whatever, it's like, oh man, these kids like represent who they are, and they represent the artists and the music that they like. That's more than I can say for a lot of people.
Definitely.
So so it was cool going there, because I always, the Juggalos always showed me love, but to actually go there and see it in that arena was great. And, over the past few years, it's been dope too. And it was the same thing with La Coka. When we went with La Coka, we had a great time, man. Danny and Bill had a blast too. And I actually like the new venue more than the other one.
What
personal preference? I just it was kind of, it's more compact. It was easier to get to, which is why I like it. The other one was, I remember trying to find it, like, what the fuck, being in the woods and like not being able to, the phone signal dies like, 10 miles before you can even get to the place. So I mean, it was an adventure both times, but I was digging the new venue.
All right. And you mentioned, a misconception about Juggalos, and of course the big news in our, fan base is, the whole FBI thing. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I in my history have never seen a fan base kind of get ostracized and put on that, level. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's it's just the establishment trying to shut something down that they can't control. I mean, that's the name of the game. They want to control people. They want to control minds. They want to control everything. So, I think that's just another example of it. And it's unfortunate, and it's whack. It's America. It's you should. It's to be at the point we are. It's the America that I thought was that we have freedom to do what we want to do, not to be controlled by government agencies and labeled and it's ridiculous.
I agree 100%. You're put out towards the end of last year a Supreme Villain compilation with Madchild. Possible release date being this year. Is that still on the schedule? Is that still going to happen?
Yeah, we're still gonna put something out. I think he had the Swollen album and I had my solo project, and you know, when it's tough when you're not like in the same place to make those projects happen. So
Yep.
we started recording, and we got a bunch of stuff done, and you know, some of those songs get spread out over different albums and mixtapes, and you know, so we still have a few songs that haven't been put out yet, and really it's just a matter of getting in the studio for a couple of weeks together, because you know, we have a great working relationship. We have a great friendship too. That's my homie. He's obviously on the new single for my new album. So you know, that's definitely going to come out. I don't have a exact timeline on it. But we're both living in LA now, and you know, hopefully we can get that done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, hopefully so. I know a lot of people are looking forward to any project that you or him are putting out. So the compilation of the two of you is definitely something that the fan base is looking at. With all these projects, these new album, your solo album, that album coming out, any tour plans in the future?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of keep a lot of different pots on the stove, man. So it's, you know, I still do the Coka thing. We're working on some Coka stuff that'll be coming out really soon too. So, you know, my album came out. I get the a release party in Los Angeles this Saturday at Whiskey a Go Go. It's going to be special guests, Coka Nostra, Sick Jackin, Bishop Lamont, Demrick. It's going to be a blast, man. And you know, also, you know, in LA and New York, those cities, you never know who's going to drop in and jump up on stage too. So that's always dope. And then with Coka, I'm going to Australia for a week. I get back and I do an East Coast run of a few dates: Boston, New York, Philly, Providence, Albany. And then I have some other stuff that I'm lining up right now for October, November. We got a tour in Europe with the Coka Nostra too, and you know, I got a movie coming out December 5th. So I'm like running through my schedule with you right now, but I got a pretty crazy schedule coming up, yeah, for the next 3 or 4 months for sure.
A new movie. Any news on his mainstream film?
Yeah, it's an indie film, but it's with Harvey Keitel and Ben Barnes. It's called By the Gun. I got a lead role in it. Hold on a second. Just getting out of the Uber here.
All right.
Yeah, so I got the movie coming out December 5th. It'll be in theaters, but it'll be on demand the same day too. So it's, you know, it has a limited run. It's in like 10 major markets. And, you know, I learned a lot kind of doing music independently over the years and creating your own opportunity. So a friend of mine wrote a script. We raised some money for it together and we shot the movie. You know, that's the short version of it, but we shot the movie last December, about 18 months ago. So got distribution for it, and now it comes out December 5th. So I'm excited about that. That was my first experience in kind of doing the same thing I've done in the music business. You know, kind of just do it yourself. Doing that in the film business, it's similar in a lot of ways, but you know, it's definitely a cool experience.
For sure. From a music perspective, you mentioned you kind of were disconnected from the mainstream side of stuff, and you know, a lot of the fan base that we deal with is the same way. They don't really hold down with a lot of the mainstream artists. But if there was, let's say, a list of the top 5 mainstream guys that you would want to work with, whether they be past, present, or future, I'm talking like all of hip hop. Who's your top 5 for all time that you'd want to have on a collab?
All time, like in the history of hip hop.
Yep.
Man, I mean, my guys are more underground geared, anyways. Even like, you know, like I would say Rakim. Rakim is, you know, he was mainstream to some extent, but to me, he's got the spirit of the underground. It's just that back in the day, you know, an underground sound could be somewhat mainstream. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you had guys like, I mean, to me, Cypress Hill and House of Pain were underground hip hop groups, but they blew up. You know what I mean? So they never really compromised their sound or anything like that. But that sound is something you would identify as being mainstream.
Right.
So, I mean, that's kind of a difficult question because to me it would be like Rakim, Cool G Rap, Nas, you know, any of the guys from Wu-Tang. I actually did a joint with U God and Raekwon on U God's album some years back. But you know, I would love to work with you know, RZA, Method Man, and those guys, or Redman, who's not a Wu-Tang, but you know, and those guys, to me, those are the guys I would like to work with that I haven't yet. But they're all, to me, they're all underground artists, even though some of them have had huge careers.
For sure, for sure. And I would 100% agree. They kind of took the mainstream by storm, and that's something that I like seeing. And definitely like the Tech Nine crossover. You know, he's underground. He'll always be underground to me, even though, you know, he's doing a lot of more mainstream, you know, collabs and things like that. But it was really cool. I actually listened to the Tech Nine track again today that you did with him on your album. It's a phenomenal track.
Thanks, man.
I noticed the Supreme Villains at its inception was going to come out on Battle Axe Records. Does that mean you're stepping away from Subnoise, or is it just kind of a side? It's going to be on Madchild's label.
No, I mean, it's all kind of affiliated, man. I think you know, Madchild's label is Battle Axe, and he's working with the guys from Subnoise on that too. So.
Of course. And man, we're 20 minutes goes by real quick. We got about 3 minutes left. When you go to the gathering, what are some of the craziest things you saw this year?
You know what, man? Like, I got sober 6 months ago, so I tried to stay away from any craziness as much as I can. Somebody asked me if they could interview me, and the interviewer was going to do his first line of cocaine ever on camera while he interviewed me.
Wow.
I was like, I don't really think I want to do that, man. He's like, oh, because you're in recovery? And I was like, well, but it's, you know, it's not going to really make me want to do it or anything like that. It's just, you know, I don't really want to do it.
Definitely.
But, you know, it's always wild there, but it's nothing that's wild in a bad way. To me, that, you know, like, I would have had a lot of fun going there years ago just as a fan, just to go enjoy the festival.
For sure. It's definitely a good all-around festival. Congratulations on the sobriety, by the way. I think that's awesome that, you know, artists can get hold of that and get under control. You know, you and Madchild have both been through a long road with that. Any advice that you would have, because of course our fan base is, like you said, a little wild and crazy, to maybe help people avoid those kind of pitfalls that they could fall in?
Well, I mean, I think it's something that you're born with. That's my own personal opinion. I think, you know, addiction issues like that are it's in your blood. So I think, you know, like, it's gotta run its course with anybody. It had to run its course with me. Hopefully you get a hold of it before it kills you. You know, I've lost a lot of friends over the years due to it. So, I mean, you know, if anybody out there is trying to get sober, I mean, it's really just a matter of being willing and, you know, surrounding yourself with people who have done it and kind of just help, you know, paying attention to them until you can get your feet underneath you and you kind of get like a little system in place on how you can go about your life in a different way. It's been great for me, man. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, is it boring? Nah. You know, I'm having a great time and traveling and making music, doing all the same things I was doing before. I'm just not poisoning myself. So it's been a good experience.
Definitely, and that's a positive thing, man. I'm really happy when I hear guys kind of pull themselves out of that. So, like I said, congrats on that. As we come to the end here, I always try to give the artist one last word to our fans. What do you have to say to Juggalos? What do you have to say to the underground fan base in general? And, you know, final words from you.
Well, I think, you know, I just want to say thank you to anybody out there that support me. Thank you to the Juggalos for supporting me so much. And I think, you know, it's one thing that you guys already know, I think, but that the support, especially in groups like that, when you group up and support people with underground music, it gives it so much more power. It allows artists to come to venues, to come to more venues, to come to more places, to have more power to push underground music when people buy it and support it, because, you know, it allows us to, you know, if you look in the top 10 on iTunes today, it has, like, you know, Iggy Azalea and Drake and Wiz Khalifa, and then I'm right in the middle of there because the fans are supporting. So it, you know, there's a lot. It really affects everything across the board. when people support, because it gives legitimacy to us to be able to go into certain venues or to be in a certain light that we wouldn't normally be able to be in. And that's not to say like it changes the music, because it doesn't have to change the music. You know, if an artist can stay true to his, you know, to keep that same integrity and push the agenda the way he wants to push it, it just allows us to be able to push our music more.
Definitely, 100% agree. You know, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy out there. Heck, that schedule sounds exhausting. I will let you go, man. I really appreciate the time that you're taking. And for all those fans out there that maybe have never heard of Slaine, I say pick up the album. It's going to be worth it. It's out today on iTunes and every other outlet as far as I could tell. It was all over the place. Go pick it up. Check out Slaine. I really appreciate your time, man, and look forward to hearing anything else that you got coming out. And if, you know, you ever get back to the gathering, Faygoluvers is always there, man. Come by and see us.
I hope I'm there again next year. Thanks for your time.
All right, bro. Thanks.
Peace.